Hello, everyone. It's Aspen. I am an embodiment coach. I support people in creating freedom in their life through the lens of the body. And today, I want to talk about emotions, particularly how to empower our relationship to our emotions. And this is a broad subject. It could go in a lot of different ways. And so we're just scratching the surface. I'm going to give some practical, tangible tools and things you can put into play in your life, and then do a body practice to put it into our system, to feel it as a body, so that we can begin to create some freedom. So, to begin, emotions, for me, how I view them, energy. Emotions are energy in motion. And most of us, we're not taught how to let that motion happen, how to feel. And many of us, if not all of us, learned at some point that it wasn't okay to feel or it wasn't safe to feel. You can think about being on the playground, falling down, starting to cry, and being made fun of, having it be worse. So the next time you fall and you don't cry, you stiffen your chest, you tighten your tummy, you contract, you hold, you shut it down. And when we get bigger, that shutdown can also be shutting down the energy for life. So when we were little, it was too much in a lot of instances. And most of us, didn't have a very attuned, safe container to feel that emotion in. And so we did the best that we could. Now, as bigger bodies, we can start to grow that capacity to be with that energy. So if emotions are energy in motion, and what happens is we contract around that energy, and we've gotten really good at it, right? These are very refined ways. We might not even notice that we're doing it. Then all of that kind of shutting down is also shutting down all the rest of the energy for life. And so we want to start to be able to have a more empowered relationship with our feelings, to be able to stay, to allow that energy to feel, to free, to incorporate that energy. And before we dive into some of the foundational things, I do want to say we all have different starting points. We all have different traumas. We all have different nervous systems. And so your body will take the time that it takes. And your journey is your journey. And your body is your body. So the things I'm saying, simply suggestions of things that I've found that worked for me and those that I work with, but it's always you with you. And we all have different starting points. We all have different bodies. So let's see. The foundational idea of what you're building is that container, that capacity to be with the energy, to be with the emotions, right? Energy, emotions. So the emotion arises, learning to stay with it, to feel with it, to flow, to let it be there. Because the thing is on my journey, I found a lot of tools, and you can see them out there, right? There's a lot of tools to keep to kind of like manage emotions, or to keep this from happening so much, or to reframe this, or to keep this from coming up, or to release this, right? There's all these like tools and practices. And I started to get to a point of like, well, what if I could just be with it? What if I could just be with the energy? What if I didn't have to like, oh, every time like release it, or do mantras or meditate or all of these different things? Like, what if I could just be with that energy, and not only be with it, but what if that energy could be used for life? To get back more of me. So, in the grand scheme of things, that's kind of like where I'm coming from. And some of the videos I put up there are very much like tools to release this, ways to support that. And in the grand scheme of things, I think that it's really cool that we do have the capacity to start to just be able to be with life as it is, with the energy that's happening, and to kind of expand into that realm and that fullness, I think is cool. So, just to throw that in there. Okay, so back to the how, right? Like, oh, this is all great, Aspen, but how? So, some suggestions and offerings in no particular order. And remember, your body, like your system, yours, 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 work at your own pace. It's important to have one-on-one. It's important to have a collective support system, all that stuff. So one place to start to practice is to allow emotions without trying to understand them. Because you can think about what happens. You feel something, and there's this kind of like feedback loop, right? Like we'll start to tell stories about it. We'll start to wonder, like, why is this here? What's wrong with me? Is this because of that thing? And should it be this way? And should it be that way? And what does this mean? And I didn't want to feel this way. It's just like, woo, we're on that roller coaster. So a practice of, can I set the story and narrative aside? And can I just feel the energy as energy? So as raw data, as sensations, as heat, as tingles, as tightness, as shakiness, as shimmeriness, as bubblies, like just to be able to start to build that tolerance to be with the energy, and also that practice of setting down the narrative, setting down the meaning making, setting down the story. And that is moment to moment. So it's not, oh, I can just like set it aside and feel this and be fine and I can do that forever. It's really, all of this is like moment to moment work. So in this breath, can I feel what's here? In this breath, can I set aside the narrative and feel sensations in my body? And there's an allowing, right? So there is a saying yes. So not, ooh, yes, I love this heaviness and this shame and this tightness, but yes as an honest acknowledgement of the life and energy that is moving through you. So you are meeting yourself and allowing yourself to feel. And this takes practice, and sensations can be too much. Sometimes it's not the time to go in there and go deep. And with trauma and all of those things, this is where that gentleness, this is where that wisdom of you comes in, of, can I not go out of my window of tolerance, but can I surf the edges? Can I be with the sensations that are here in a loving, present way? Or am I starting to disconnect and feel frozen? Or am I starting to fuse and mesh, right? Finding that sacred middle place between fusing and becoming identified and just overwhelmed in this, and dissociating, not feeling, distancing, being somewhere else. That sweet, sacred middle. And it takes practice to be able to feel sensations. I mean, for a long time for me, like, this was what, no man's land. There's nothing I could feel in here. And so that can also be a beautiful place to start, is just feeling sensations. There's tons of resources of body scans and meditations, embodied meditations, where you can just feel and learn the language of sensations, because it is a language and it takes time. Okay. So another way to build this capacity, this container to feel, is something that Peter Levine talks about a lot, which is pendulation. So thinking of a pendulum, you are moving back and forth. You're shifting your awareness from one thing to another. So as an example, as a body example, let's say I am feeling this tightness, this anxiety, this shaky contracting in my chest. We'll call that zone 2. I can feel some place of my body that feels a little bit better, feels maybe neutral, maybe even feels safe or good, like my feet. My feet feel nice and grounded and warm and heavy. That feels good. We'll call that zone 1. So then I practice shifting my awareness from zone 2 to zone 1. Can I feel this shaky contracting in my chest that just feels like a lot, intense? And then, okay, I'm going to shift my attention back to this place that feels more safe, that feels more grounded, that feels easier. And by pendulating back and forth, you're growing that muscle, just like going to the gym, right? Doing some emotional sit-ups here, building that capacity to be with that energy, so that we're not just here in the terribleness, re-traumatizing ourselves and having it be too much and just reinforcing that circuitry, we're giving ourselves a resource. We're pendulating back and forth, titrating. So this can be really supportive, and it can help with that growing of the capacity. And you can also do that with another person, right? I mean, a resource can be outside of you. You can have somebody hold that space for you. That's where that attunement can be really healing. So I always suggest getting one-on-one support and collective support and all of that. And then I think the last thing I'll say is sometimes it's resourcing first to give ourselves that cushion, that foundation to be able to open and soften and feel. So sometimes it's resourcing in nature, in the earth. Can I put my feet on the ground and look up at the sky? And then that gives me like a breath, enough of a space, that amount of space to be able to feel what's there. Resourcing in goodness, in pleasure, resourcing in a figure, in some archetype or warmth or light or divineness, whatever you want to call it, that can kind of hold that container for you and open up the space for you to be able to feel. So resourcing is always beautiful. I'll actually put a practice. I'll put a downloadable practice in the notes. That's a good resourcing one with the earth. So I'll put that below. And let's see, there's probably going to be a part 2 to this video because there's so much. So I want to leave you, before we do the body practice, just with like something tangible. What you're taking. So if it's, okay, I'm just going to start to explore feeling sensations in my body. I'm going to start to learn what that language is like. Start to build that noticer muscle of what physical sensations are alive in my body. Or I'm going to take that thing she said about trying to set aside the story and just feel the energy. Like, what if I could take the word mad off of this and just feel it as sensations in my body? Or I'm going to take that pendulation thing. That sounded cool. I'm going to try that out. So for you to take something from this video to start to put it out there in life. And what I mean by that is not when the stakes are really high, you're really heightened in emotion, and then there you're going to try to feel sensations and calm the brain. That's like trying to learn how to swim in a tidal wave. No, you go to the shallow end, you practice first. So at home, in those little moments, like you're cooking and you notice, God, I'm a little frustrated. Ooh, let me pause. Let me feel those sensations. What is the felt sense, the energy of that in my body? See where that takes you. Or beginning to explore when it's pleasurable, taking a shower. Can I feel sensations in my body here? After some emotional thing has happened and you've kind of come back into equilibrium, right? Come back into your window and you're in a safe space, you're at home, maybe revisiting that. How did that feel in my body? Where do I feel that? Can I allow that? Can I allow that and let it be okay that it's here? Setting aside the judgment, the criticizing, the story, the meaning making. Can I say yes? Can I open? Can I soften? And there's a lot, right? I mean, we could go into a bajillion things. So just to keep this video somewhat short, we're going to do a little mini body practice and then close it out. So that was a lot of talking. So just giving yourself a little shake out, deepening the breath, letting out some sound, moving the face. You can be seated, you can be standing. And then we're going to begin to just meet ourselves right here in our experience. So if it feels good, you can close your eyes. If not, just cast them down, have them be soft. We're just coming inside the body. Finding the breath. Feeling the breath. And breathing however your body wants to breathe. So it might feel good to take nice full inhales and long exhales, maybe making some sound. It might feel good to just let the breath be soft, easy. Just allowing the body to breathe however it wants to breathe. Softening the face, the eyes, the jaw, the chest, the belly. Imagine sand settling, allowing the body to melt down into the earth. And then I want you to begin to just open to curiosity inside the body. What physical sensations are here? Temperature, movement, just the raw sensations. What are you noticing? A numbness, blank space, that's a sensation. Coolness, spaciousness, tightness, gooiness, stickiness, just exploring what's here in your body as you breathe. And feeling your belly. The belly is really where we hold a lot of our emotional life. So noticing if you can sense any sensations in your belly. And it's okay if it feels weird or unknown or disconnected. You're just noticing. No need to fix or change or make better. Just notice. And then we're just going to bring our attention to our heart space. You can even bring a hand there if it feels good. And just breathe into your heart. All the way to the back of your heart, expanding the breath in that space. We're just going to say aloud, I'm here. I'm listening. I am here and I am listening. And you can gently begin to bring yourself back. So there's a lot that you can take and play with. And I really invite you to play with it. Because if we come from the lens of self-improvement project, have to fix everything about me, we're never going to connect to that expansiveness, that freedom, that aliveness that we're all really longing for. And so to begin to be curious, to be playful, to open up, to see if you can be with the life that is here just as it is. Because the cool thing is this thing is the thing that we do all the doing with, all the living with. And when we directly contact the physical sensations in the body, we're directly contacting life. And that's where things can get really cool. And you can feel what would it be like if you could increase your capacity to be with the raw energy of emotions. If you didn't react as much. If you had access to that energy. What would open up in your life? So thinking for you, what is the value? And choosing one thing to take and put into play. I'm going to feel sensations. I'm going to check out this. I'm going to see if I can feel without the story for a breath. So, sending you so much love. If this was supportive, please check out all the other resources because there's a lot. There's one-on-one coaching, there's a collective container monthly membership, there's classes, there's tons of free downloadable resources, meditations, practices, all the things. So check out all that below. Subscribe, comment, let me know. What's true for you? What's alive for you? How was this for you? Because it's your journey. And I am sending you so much permission to feel your freaking feelings. So much love. Mwah.